A marriage ended in blood hours after the ceremony. A 5-year-old kidnapped, raped, and subsequently killed. A romantic trip to the land of dreams ended with the husband killing his wife. You may be thinking what kind of animals would do such things, and what happened to them afterwards. Watch the video to learn more as we look at the 8 most wanted killers on the FBI's list. These criminals are hardened to the core, and helping to capture any of them will get you a minimum reward of $100,000 going upwards to $5 million. We'll take a closer look at their lives and how they ended up being at the top of the most wanted list of FBI. Alexis Flores. First in our list is Alexis Flores, a Honduran who has been on the FBI's most wanted fugitives list for 15 years, with his crime going back to the year 2000. Alexis Flores is wanted for the kidnapping, rape and murder of 5-year-old Iriana de Jesus in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Little is known about Flores's life before coming to the US, except the fact that he had a surgical scar on his neck after sustaining injuries in the Hurricane Mitch of 1998. In the summer of 2000, Hunting Park, Philadelphia, was a community where neighbors looked out for one another. Jorge Contreras, a compassionate resident, opened his doors to an itinerant homeless drifter known as Carlos, or Carlo. Recognizing Carlos's need for shelter, clothing, and work, Jorge offered him a helping hand, providing him with a place to stay and employment as a handyman. What he didn't know was that Carlos was carrying a dead body. Let me cue you in to the whole story. 5-year-old Iriana de Jesus brought joy and laughter to the close-knit community. But tragedy struck when Iriana went missing, sending shockwaves through the neighborhood. The frantic search for the little girl began, and the police were determined to uncover the truth. 5 days after Iriana's disappearance, a grim discovery unfolded. In the basement of an abandoned apartment building, investigators found the young girl's lifeless body. The heart-wrenching scene revealed she had been sexually assaulted, strangled, and callously wrapped in a trash bag. Among the evidence was a t-shirt bearing a distinct political logo, stained with Iriana's blood. When questioned by the police about the shirt, Jorge Contreras recognized it as one he had lent to Carlos, who had not been seen since Iriana's disappearance. The investigation took a sudden turn, focusing on Carlos as the prime suspect. His disappearance and the troubling evidence brought a wave of shock and anger throughout the community. With the mounting evidence against Carlos, the authorities intensified their search. A sketch of Carlos was profiled on America's Most Wanted, increasing the urgency to bring him to justice. The manhunt expanded, capturing the attention of the nation as the search for a killer unfolded. In a separate event, a man named Alexis Flores, an illegal immigrant, was arrested in Arizona for shoplifting in 2002. It was during a subsequent noise complaint visit to his residence that police discovered Flores in possession of fraudulent identity documents. Flores was arrested for possessing a forgery device, leading to his incarceration for 60 days. After his release in June 2005, he was deported to Honduras. In 2006, as part of standard procedure, Flores's DNA sample taken in Arizona was added to the combined DNA index system. The following year, the crucial breakthrough arrived. Flores's DNA was positively matched to the DNA found at the Philadelphia crime scene, confirming that Carlos and Flores were one and the same. The discovery sent shockwaves through law enforcement agencies, reinvigorating the search for Flores. On March 22, 2007, a local arrest warrant was obtained in Pennsylvania, charging Flores with murder and other felonies. Simultaneously, the Eastern District of Pennsylvania issued a federal arrest warrant for unlawful flight to avoid prosecution. The chase was on as Flores went into hiding, evading capture and slipping through the cracks. The search for Flores reached a national scale when he was added to the FBI's top 10 most wanted fugitives list on June 2, 2007. With a reward of up to $100,000 offered for information leading to his capture, the manhunt intensified. Flores's face was plastered across newspapers, television screens, and billboards, urging citizens to come forward and aid in his capture. As Flores remained on the run, he became the subject of an Interpol Red Notice, alerting authorities worldwide to his danger and the urgent need to bring him to justice. Armed and considered extremely dangerous, Flores was known to be fluent in Spanish and English, raising concerns that he could have returned to the United States or sought refuge in his native Honduras. As of 2023, his reward has been increased to a massive $250,000 for anyone who helps the FBI in directly capturing Carlos, who is hiding for years in Honduras. Next on our list is the most extreme example of how an unhappy marriage can end, as we look at an Indian man who killed his wife and escaped while currently being on the run for the last 8 years. Bhadresh Kumar Chetanbhai Patel. Bhadresh Kumar Chetanbhai Patel and his wife Palak Patel immigrated to the United States from India. They found employment at a Dunkin' Donuts in Hanover, Maryland, but their aspirations for a new life took a horrific turn on April 12, 2015, which shows Bhadresh Kumar leaving the shop with his wife. During a night shift at the Dunkin' Donuts, Bhadresh Kumar lured Palak to the back of the shop and fatally stabbed her with a knife around 9:30 p.m. Just prior to the incident, Palak had been discussing her desire to return to India with her family over the phone. It is worth noting that both Bhadresh Kumar and Palak had overstayed their visas, complicating their situation. After the murder, Bhadresh Kumar quickly changed clothes at his nearby apartment, gathered cash and his passport, and hailed a taxi to a hotel near Newark Airport. He checked in at 3 a.m. and left by 10 a.m. From there, he boarded a hotel shuttle to New York Penn Station, and his subsequent movements remain unknown. Bhadresh Kumar had connections in multiple states within the US and ties to India, which made the search for him challenging. He was last seen on Penn Station waiting outside the ticket counter. Bhadresh Kumar and Palak's journey to the United States began with an arranged marriage in November 2013. They visited the US for the first time in September 2014, with plans to stay for 16 days and visit Bhadresh Kumar's mother in New Jersey. However, they decided to extend their stay indefinitely. The exact reasons for their presence in Maryland are unclear, but there were indications of growing strain in their relationship. Palak expressed a desire to return to India, while Bhadresh Kumar seemed opposed to the idea. In March 2015, Palak's parents traveled to the US to assess their daughter's situation and her relationship with Bhadresh Kumar. They left on April 7, 2015, believing that Palak and Bhadresh Kumar had reached a peaceful resolution. However, tragedy struck before Palak could fulfill her plans to return to India, as her life was tragically cut short. Although there were no prior records of domestic violence between the couple, police had responded to a noise complaint at their apartment in December 2014. Bhadresh Kumar's cousin shared the apartment with the couple. In the aftermath of the murder, an intensive search for Bhadresh Kumar was launched. What's going to happen next? No one knows, as the FBI is still searching for him and has even set a $250,000 reward for his capture. Number 3 on our list is Alejandro Rosales Castillo. Alejandro Rosales Castillo, a young American fugitive, found himself thrust into the national spotlight when he was added to the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list on October 24, 2017. His alleged crime was the brutal murder of Truk Kwan Sandy Lee Lee, a 23-year-old woman from Charlotte, North Carolina, in August 2016. The FBI offered a substantial reward of up to $250,000 for any information leading to Castillo's capture, fueling the intense manhunt that followed. At the time of the incident, he was only 17 years old and working at a Shomer's restaurant in Charlotte. It was there that he met Truk Kwan Sandy Lai Lee, his 23-year-old co-worker. Reports suggest that the two had a brief romantic involvement, which ended when Castillo began dating another co-worker, 19-year-old Amia Feaster. Trouble began brewing when Lee realized that Castillo had failed to repay the money she had lent him. In an attempt to rectify the situation, Castillo lured Lee to a meeting at a Quick Trip on Eastway Drive. On August 9, 2016, Feaster picked up Castillo in her red Dodge Caliber, and they proceeded to meet with Leia. Little did Leigh know that this meeting would be her last. It is believed that instead of repaying the debt, Castillo coerced Leigh into withdrawing all her money from the bank. The evidence suggests that he may have used a firearm during this process. Leigh's bank statements later revealed a withdrawal of $1,000 from an ATM, effectively depleting her account. This would be the last trace of Leigh's financial activities before her tragic demise. Investigators pieced together a grim timeline of events. After the withdrawal, Castillo allegedly drove Leigh to a wooded area in Cabarrus County, where he callously shot her in the head, ending her life. He callously discarded her body in a ravine and, with Feaster, fled the scene in Leigh's black 2003 Toyota Corolla. In the aftermath of the murder, Castillo and Feaster embarked on a journey across states. They traveled from North Carolina to Phoenix, Arizona, where they abandoned Leigh's car at a bus shelter. Later investigations revealed surveillance footage capturing Castillo crossing the border into Mexico, specifically in the cities of San Francisco de los Romo and Pabellón de Arteaga in the state of Aguascalientes. Authorities believe he may also be hiding in the states of Guanajuato or Veracruz. Leigh's disappearance was reported the day after she was killed, while Castillo and Feaster were reported missing shortly afterward. On August 13th, Feaster's Dodge Caliber was discovered abandoned in Charlotte. Both families received phone calls from the fugitives, leaving them convinced that their loved ones were being held against their will and coerced into making the calls. The investigation took a significant turn on August 17, 2016, when Leigh's lifeless body was discovered in the Cabarrus County woods.
These posters are going to be posted on billboards and all around 5 different states in the United States that they believe Alex either has ties to or may have been reported being seen there.
With the discovery, the motive behind the murder emerged. a twisted robbery. On November 2, 2016, Castillo was formally charged with first-degree murder, and additional charges of unlawful flight to avoid prosecution followed on February 10, 2017. In a surprising development, Fista surrendered to authorities in Aguascalientes, Mexico on October 20, 2016. She cooperated with U.S. authorities, and after her mother facilitated her return, she was apprehended by the Harris County Sheriff's Office near Houston, Texas. Fista faced charges of accessory after the fact of felony murder and larceny of a motor vehicle. Although she posted a bond and was eventually released on January 18, 2017, her cooperation provided valuable insights into the case. As for Alejandro Rosales Castillo, he vanished once again while in Mexico, eluding capture and leaving law enforcement agencies tirelessly searching for his whereabouts. The case of Truquan Sandy Lilay's murder remains open, and the FBI's top 10 most wanted fugitives list continues to include Castillo, a young man on the run with a reward of $250,000 for facilitating his arrest. Quite terrifying, right? Well, our next mention in the list will blow your mind. And he can, literally. We're talking about someone who has wreaked havoc in the States with his ties to one of the biggest narco-terrorist alliances in the world, Wilver Villegas Palomino. Wilver Villegas Palomino, alias Carlos El Puerco, the mastermind behind the ELN Northeastern Warfront's drug trafficking operations. Villegas Palomino's empire stretches across the vast Catatumbo region of Colombia and Venezuela, where he exercises control over an extensive network of more than 70 cocaine laboratories. These clandestine facilities operate in the shadows, producing an astonishing 200 tons of cocaine each year, destined for distribution worldwide. His illicit activities have drawn the attention of international law enforcement agencies. The U.S. Department of State Narcotics Rewards Program is offering a substantial reward of up to $5 million for any crucial information leading to his arrest and subsequent conviction. FBI agents have described him as an imminent threat, responsible for flooding U.S. streets with immense quantities of cocaine that fuel violent crime and wreak havoc on local communities. To comprehend the scope of Villegas Palomino's influence, we must delve into the history of the National Liberation Army of Colombia, or Ejército de Liberación Nacional, also known as the ELN. Born from the original guerrilla group, Fuerzas Armadas Revolucionarias de Colombia, or the FARC, the ELN has transformed into a formidable force engaged in paramilitary operations against the Colombian government. While peace negotiations between FARC and the Colombian government were initiated in 2012, certain FARC leaders, including Villegas Palomino, pursued a different path. They joined forces with the ELN, resulting in a dramatic surge in their ranks and a wave of violence engulfing the region.
A truck carrying 6 bodies arrives at a morgue in El Tambo in southwest Colombia, a town long at the center of the country's civil conflict. As family members grieve, soldiers and police look on. These killings were one of 3 incidents in just 24 hours that left at least 17 young people dead in remote regions of the country.
The alliance between FARC and the ELN has led to the loss of over 250,000 lives, with 6 million individuals forcibly displaced from their homes. Villegas Palomino's operations serve as a financial lifeline, fueling acts of terror, political destabilization, and undermining national security. Villegas Palomino preys upon vulnerable individuals, recruiting them into the ELN by exploiting political instability and pervasive poverty. For many, joining the organization becomes a desperate act of survival as they perceive no other viable means of supporting themselves and their families. With an unwavering determination to bring Villegas Palomino to justice, the FBI has designated him as one of the 10 most wanted fugitives, collaborating tirelessly with local leaders, military, personnel, and international partners. Law enforcement agencies tirelessly strive to pinpoint Villegas Palomino's whereabouts and ultimately apprehend him. Arnoldo Jimenez. Moving on to number 5 on the list is a former millionaire who got popular for all the wrong reasons. We're talking about Arnoldo Jimenez, use his poster put out by FBI, a man who murdered his wife mere hours after the wedding ceremony. Arnoldo Jimenez got listed on the FBI's most wanted list 7 years after murdering his wife and leaving for Mexico. The story begins on May 12, 2012, when 26-year-old Estrella Carrera secretly married Jimenez, who was also the father of their 2-year-old son. As in any normal wedding, the couple celebrated after the wedding ceremony, unaware of the fate that awaited her. After partying in the club, both of them returned in a slick black 4-door Maserati, which would turn out to be the last ride of her life. As arguments unfolded, Jimenez lost control of himself and stabbed his wife ruthlessly multiple times. It didn't end here, as he then proceeded to carry her body to her apartment and left it to rot in the washroom before leaving the scene, never to be found again. How did the police find out? Estrella was due to pick the children from her family on May 12th. Seeing as she had not come, her family proceeded to contact the police, who found her lifeless body in the bathtub, wearing the same silver sequined cocktail dress she wore in the party. Apparently, Jimenez had also tried to contact his sister after the murder, telling her that he had a big fight and left Estrella bleeding. According to police reports, he made several calls from different locations, and even after entering Mexico. Although the murder was unprecedented, Jimenez was quick to take action and even told a close associate to tell the police that he left for Mexico. The police were quick to issue warrants against him for murder, as well as unlawful flight to avoid prosecution. After this, the trail went cold, till the cops arrested Jimenez's brother in a drug case, and while searching his home, they found the exact black Maserati that Jimenez was driving that day. This incident helped the cops in making out the circumstances of Estrella's death. On examination of the car, they found bloodstains of Estrella, thus leading to the conclusion that she was killed in the car and then carried to her apartment. Due to his disappearance in Mexico, the FBI added him to the most wanted on May 19, 2019, and has not been found yet by the authorities. To make it a little easier, the FBI has also put a reward of $250,000 for anyone who can help arrest him. The murder of Estrella was the result of an unhealthy relationship that lasted too long, as all her relatives were shocked about her deciding to tie the knot with Jimenez, who had a history of domestic violence. According to statements given by her family, Jimenez used to beat her on several occasions and was very possessive and jealous. As of now, the police and the family of Estrella have pleaded with Jimenez to turn himself in for the sake of his family and especially his children. Omar Alexander Cardenas. At number 6 on our list is Omar Alexander Cardenas, who is wanted for shooting a man several times in front of a barbershop in Silmar. It was a normal Thursday morning in the Silmar region when Omar went into a parking spot and started firing from his semi-automatic handgun when one of the bullets hit a man outside a barbershop. According to the report, he was captured by one of the nearby CCTV cameras while going to the parking lot. After this, the police found the body of a 46-year-old man, Jamali Dumas, who was shot at by Cardenas 9 times. You heard that right. 9 times. One of these bullets hit him in the head, and Dumas died on the spot. After murdering Dumas, Cardenas ran out of the parking lot, fleeing the scene in his vehicle. The police issued warrants against him for murder and fleeing the country illegally to avoid prosecution. Cardenas is suspected to be in Mexico and is on the run for 3 years now. After further investigation, the police found links of Cardenas to the infamous Pierce Street gang, and he may even be part of the Pacoima Van Nuys boys, or Anybody Killer street gang. According to the FBI, due to his links with these gangs, Cardenas may have information related to several other offenses in the San Fernando Valley area of Los Angeles. With a reward of $250,000 on his head, Cardenas is still out there somewhere either in South California or in Mexico, while the FBI also believes that he may be working as a construction worker. At number 7 on the list, we will look at a drug lord who was the leader of one of the most dangerous gangs in Central America, whose members have reigned terror since the 80s. Julian Adonai Archaga Carillas. We're talking about Julian Adonai Archaga Carillas, a man whose story seems to be straight out of an action movie. Carillas was added to the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list in 2021, and the FBI were quite active on his trail. In 2023, the US cranked up pressure to find him as soon as possible by increasing the reward on his head to a whopping $5 million. He is wanted for a long list of offenses, including racketeering, narcotics trafficking, and several firearms offenses, including supplying guns to the USA. Let's start from his arrest in 2015, which saw him serve in jail for 5 years in a case of money laundering. While being transported to a court hearing in the city of El Progreso, his convoy, which should have had high-level security, had none present. He was transported in a van with little to no security and without any notice given to the military, which should have happened according to the rules. What happened next was truly horrendous, as a horde of MS-13 members surrounded the van and started shooting ruthlessly. In a security footage of the incident, 2 groups of the gang members were seen dressed in military police uniforms. One of the groups had a person playing the fake prisoner role, and the other group had a man wearing a black tunic, an outfit generally used for protecting the victims' or witnesses' identities. However, this time, it was used to get weapons and ammunition inside. The 2 groups created havoc near the courthouse, which also led to the death of 4 government officials and Carillas escaping. This event showcased the power that Carillas held in Honduras and the extent of criminality present in MS-13. Being the leader of one of the most violent extremist groups who have caused hundreds of murders, executed human trafficking, distributed cocaine throughout Central America and continental United States, Canada, Mexico, and El Salvador. As of now, the FBI has put a $5 million reward on his head for anyone who helps them catch Carayas. It's difficult because the man has several aliases with no confirmed name due to the extensive corruption in Honduras bureaucracy. Some call him Alexander Mendoza, while his gang members know him as Porky. His gang mostly employs unaccompanied minors who have nowhere else to turn to, as most schools refuse to admit them, thus turning them to a life in crime. To start, the gang has an initiation ceremony, which involves the person getting beaten for 13 seconds without a chance to strike back, and some parts of the gang even require the new inductee to perform a murder in order to gain a full membership. This is just the tip of the iceberg in the gruesome life of Carayas, who has a rags-to-riches story. From a child picking up trash in Honduras to becoming the leader of the most fearsome gang in the country. Number 8 on our list is still a fresh catch, being arrested in January this year after 10 years of killing another man in another drug-related violent incident. But what led to his inclusion into the most wanted list? Let's find out from the start. José Rodolfo Villarreal Hernández. José Rodolfo Villarreal Hernández, born on January 16, 1978, was a notorious figure in the Mexican drug rings, also known as El Gato, and a fugitive who managed to evade capture for a full decade. Currently, he's listed on the FBI 10 Most Wanted Fugitives list, although being caught just a few months ago after tedious investigations. His most famous offense is the orchestrated murder of Juan Jesus Guerrero Chapa, which took place on May 22, 2013, in Southlake, Texas.
43-year-old Juan Jesus Guerrero Chapa and his wife had finished shopping and returned to their maroon Range Rover in a parking lot at Town Square in Southlake when 2 Mexican assassins drove up and shot the husband multiple times. The wife was not hurt. 2 gunmen, known as Clorox and Captain, are still on the loose.
In addition, Villarreal Hernández is believed to be responsible for numerous other murders in Mexico. As a prominent leader within the Beltran-Leyva cartel, Villarreal Hernández operated in a dangerous world of rival cartels and ongoing conflicts. His personal vendetta against Guerrero arose from the tragic loss of his father, who was allegedly killed by members of the Gulf Cartel, a rival organization engaged in a long-standing feud with the Beltran-Leyva cartel. Holding Guerrero personally accountable for his father's death, Villarreal Hernández sought revenge, leading to the murder in Southlake. The murder of Juan Jesus Guerrero Chapa unfolded as Villarreal Hernández formed a group of individuals to track and carry out the assassination. Guerrero, who was residing in Southlake as a U.S. informant cooperating with law enforcement, was ambushed along with his wife while driving. Acting on Villarreal Hernández's orders, the assailants opened fire, ruthlessly ending Guerrero's life. Despite subsequent investigations and the arrest of several individuals connected to the crime, the primary perpetrators behind the assassination remain at large. Villarreal Hernández skillfully evaded capture, managing to elude the efforts of law enforcement agencies on both sides of the border. He was wanted for interstate stalking and conspiracy to commit murder for hire, continuing to evade justice while hiding in Mexico. The reward for helping capture him was increased, up to $1 million for any information that can lead to his arrest. The saga doesn't end here, as one of the sisters of Guerrero went as far as killing Villarreal Hernández's relatives as revenge for her brother's death. He was finally caught on January 7th, 2023 by Mexican authorities in Mexico City, after which he is pending extradition to the USA for further proceedings. The FBI has celebrated the capture of El Gato due to his involvement in several murders, as well as drug trafficking throughout Mexico and the USA. With this, we come to the end of the most wanted killers on FBI's radar, who are still out there hiding from the authorities somewhere. While some of them, like Palomino or Carrillas, are still at large and continue to wreak havoc on the continent, others are in hiding or changed professions while living in Mexico or some other neighboring country. That's it for today, and if you enjoy stories like this filled with conspiracies, murders, and plenty of twists, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more mind-blowing content.